All right, welcome. Today, we are diving into one of the most incredible journeys in all of biology, that 9-month transformation from a single microscopic cell into a fully formed human being. I mean, think about it. It's architecture, engineering, and logistics on a scale that is just mind-blowing. Okay, let's get into it.
So the big question is, how? How on earth does one single cell know how to pull off the most complex construction project you can possibly imagine? That's what we're going to unpack today. We're going to look at the life support systems, the master blueprint, and then the actual play-by-play, the month-by-month timeline of building a person, literally from the ground up.
So, just like any big construction project, before you can even lay the first brick, you need two things. You need a solid infrastructure, right, for power, for supplies, and you need a management team to make sure everything runs smoothly. Well, in embryonic development, that's where the placenta and a whole team of hormones come in. First up, let's meet the project's command center, the placenta. Now, this thing is incredible. It's really a joint venture between the embryo and the mother. You have these tiny finger-like projections from the embryo. They're called chorionic villi, and they actually dig into and interlock with the mother's uterine tissue. This creates this super intimate connection. It's a temporary organ built for one job and one job only, to sustain this new life.
And what's so wild is just how much this one organ does. It is the ultimate multitasker. Think about it. It acts as the lungs, the kidneys, and digestive system for the embryo. It's delivering all the good stuff, oxygen and nutrients, and at the same time, it's carting away all the waste, like carbon dioxide. All of this happens through the umbilical cord. But that's not all. It's also a hormone factory, which of course brings us to our project managers.
Okay, so if the placenta is the power station, keeping the lights on, then the hormones are the communication network. They're like the project manager, sending out memos and directives, coordinating every single step of this whole process. They manage everything, from what's happening in the mother's body to how fast the fetus is growing. And here they are, the key players on the management team. You've probably heard of HCG. That's the one that shows up on a pregnancy test. It's basically the hormone that shouts, hey, the project is officially a go. Then you have HPL, estrogens, and progestogens. They're all working behind the scenes to keep the pregnancy on track and support all that growth. And then later in the game, relaxin shows up to get the mother's body ready for the final act, delivery. This isn't just a random cocktail of chemicals. It's this beautifully coordinated symphony that's not just for the fetus, but for the mother too, driving these huge changes in her body to support this new life.
All right, with the life support system humming along, it's time to unroll the master blueprint. So right after implantation, that little cluster of cells that's destined to become the embryo, the inner cell mass, it starts organizing itself into 3 foundational layers. This is where the master plan really gets laid out.
And these 3 layers are what we call the primary germ layers. You've got the ectoderm on the outside, the endoderm on the inside, and the mesoderm sandwiched right in the middle. You can think of these as the master instructions for everything that's about to be built. Each layer already has its own specific destiny. And this table here just lays it out so clearly they each have very distinct jobs. That outer layer, the ectoderm, it's going to form the brain, the spinal cord, all the nerves, and the skin. The middle, mesoderm, that's your structural stuff, muscles, bones, the heart, and blood vessels. And that inner layer, the endoderm, it forms the lining of the digestive system and, you guessed it, the lungs. It's amazing, right? From just these 3 simple layers, an entire, incredibly complex body starts to take shape. Okay, but what are these layers actually made of? What are the building blocks? This is where it gets really cool. That inner cell mass is just packed with these amazing things called stem cells. These are the ultimate biological blank slates. They have this incredible power, we call it potency, to become any kind of cell in the body. A brain cell, a heart cell, a skin cell, you name it. They are the raw material from which every single tissue and organ will be built. Okay, so blueprints. Check. Materials. Check. Life support. Check. Now the real construction can begin. And it follows this amazingly precise 9-month schedule. So let's do a quick walkthrough of the key milestones. The whole 9-month journey is broken down into 3 trimesters. The first trimester, that is all about laying the foundation, getting the major systems in place. The second trimester is all about growth and fine-tuning. And the third trimester, that's all about final maturation, getting everything ready for launch day. All right, let's start the clock.
Month 1, we're talking about a period of unbelievably rapid development. The foundational work is happening at lightning speed, and something truly, truly momentous occurs.
The embryo's heart is formed, and it starts to beat. I mean, think about that. This is often the very first sign of life a doctor can actually detect. Just a tiny, rhythmic pulse that says, "I'm here." Okay, on to month 2. And believe me, the pace does not slow down one bit. Now we start to see the external shape, something that really starts to look recognizably human.
You get these little buds that pop out, and they start to differentiate into arms and legs. And then, unbelievably, those develop fingers and toes. The basic body plan is right there, taking shape before your eyes.
And that brings us to the end of month 3. This marks the end of the first trimester, which is a really critical deadline in this whole project. It's a huge, huge milestone.
Why is it so huge? Because by now, the fetus has pretty much finished the most critical phase of construction. It's a process called Oogenesis, literally the origin of organs. Most of the major organ systems are now formed. The blueprints have been executed, the fundamental structures are all there. For the next 6 months, the main job is just getting bigger and stronger.
All right, let's jump ahead into the second trimester. Around the 5th month, something really amazing happens. The project isn't just about internal wiring anymore. There's a new development, one that the mother can actually feel for the first time.
The fetus starts moving around enough that the mother can feel it, those first little flutters. And at the same time, hair starts to appear on the head. You know, these are the kinds of signs that really bridge the gap between a biological process and the deeply personal, human experience of pregnancy.
So after months of all this fine-tuning and growth, we're talking about things like eyelids separating and eyelashes forming by the end of the 2nd trimester. The whole project starts to near its grand completion. By the time we get to the end of 9 months, the job is done. The fetus is fully developed. That one single cell has followed the blueprint perfectly, building this incredibly intricate human being with trillions of cells, all working together. It's ready for the grand opening, life outside the womb. When you step back and look at it, this 9-month construction project is just a biological masterpiece. It is breathtakingly complex. The blueprint has been followed to the letter, all the systems are online, and the final product is ready to go. Which leaves us with just one last question. What happens at the grand opening? What happens when it's time to finally deliver this baby to the world?